What's up everyone? It's Raghav, and on this channel we talk about all things UAE from real estate to investments and today, employment law. Understanding your rights and obligations as an employee or an employer in the UAE is crucial. And one of the key aspects of that is the notice period stipulated in your employment contract. Whether you're planning to leave your job or you're an employer thinking about letting someone go, there's a very specific way to do it here in the UAE, and trust me, you don't want to mess this up. Getting it wrong can lead to some pretty hefty fines and legal headaches. So, in this video, we're breaking down everything you need to know about employment notice periods in the UAE, as per the latest regulations. We'll go from the basics to some more nuanced scenarios so you can navigate your professional life here with confidence. First things first, let's talk about the minimum notice period in the UAE. As per the law, the absolute minimum is 30 days. Think of this as the default setting, the bare minimum you need to give whether you're an employee quitting or an employer letting someone go. But here's where it gets interesting. Your employment contract can actually specify a longer notice period, and this is pretty common. You'll often see contracts with 60 or even 90-day notice periods, especially for more senior roles or specialized positions. Why? Well, it gives both the employee and the employer more time to prepare for the transition. For the employee, it's time to look for a new job, wrap up projects, and maybe even get that visa sorted. And for the employer, it gives them time to find a suitable replacement, train them up, and ensure a smooth handover. Now, a longer notice period might seem like a drag, but it can actually be a good thing. It shows commitment from both sides and allows for a more planned and less disruptive exit or onboarding process. Just remember, whatever the contract says, that's the rule of the game. Now, let's differentiate between resignation and termination because the notice period implications change slightly depending on who is initiating the separation. When you, as an employee, decide to resign, you are legally obligated to respect the notice period mentioned in your contract. Let's say you have a 60-day notice period, and you find an amazing new job opportunity. You can't just walk out the next day. You need to formally resign, serve out those 60 days, and then you're free to move on. On the flip side, if your employer decides to terminate your contract, they also have to follow the agreed-upon notice period. This means they can't just tell you to pack your things and leave that same day, unless, of course, there's a serious justifiable reason like gross misconduct, which we'll get to in a bit. Now let's talk about the probation period, which is like a trial run for both the employee and the employer. In the UAE, the probation period can last for a maximum of 6 months, and the notice period rules during this time are a little different. If you're an employee and you decide to resign during your probation to join another company here in the UAE, you're required to give 1 month's notice. However, if you're resigning to leave the UAE altogether, the notice period is reduced to 14 days. From the employer's side, if they wish to terminate your contract during probation, they also need to provide a 14-day notice period. It's important to remember that these probation period rules apply regardless of what your contract might state. The law overrides any contractual obligation in this scenario. Let's be real. Sometimes things don't go as planned, and you need to make a move quickly, whether you're an employee or an employer. That's where payment in lieu of notice comes into play. This basically means you can buy out your notice period. Let's say you're an employee with a 60-day notice period, but you've landed your dream job and they need you to start ASAP. In this situation, you can talk to your current employer and offer to pay them an amount equivalent to your salary for the remaining notice period. It's like a shortcut, but it has to be mutually agreed upon. Similarly, as an employer, if you need to let someone go quickly and don't have time for the full notice period, you can offer them payment in lieu of notice. This is especially common in situations where a company is restructuring or downsizing. Now for the serious stuff. Article 44 of the UAE labor law outlines some very specific situations where an employer can terminate an employee's contract without any notice period, and without having to pay them for the notice period either. We're talking about serious offenses here, things like an employee being found guilty of a crime like fraud or embezzlement, or a serious breach of confidentiality that could harm the company. Repeatedly failing to perform your job duties even after warnings can also fall under this category. Another example is if an employee is absent from work for more than 7 consecutive days without a legitimate reason or approved leave. Basically, if an employee's actions are detrimental to the company or show a blatant disregard for their responsibilities, then the employer might be able to terminate the contract immediately. So there you have it, a breakdown of everything you need to know about notice periods in the UAE. It's always best to consult with a legal professional if you have any specific questions or find yourself in a tricky situation. Their guidance can save you a lot of hassle and potential legal issues down the road. And remember, understanding the law is crucial, not just to protect yourself, but also to ensure you're treating others fairly and responsibly, whether you're an employee or an employer. Thanks for watching. If you found this information helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates on employment laws and regulations.